Alright, so after suffering plagues and panic, the Philistines realized they can't keep the Ark of the Covenant. In this chapter, they try to send it back, but they also test whether the plagues really came from Israel's God. The first part of this chapter covers the Philistines' plans to return the Ark. The Ark has been in Philistine territory for 7 months. The priests and diviners say, "Send it back with a guilt offering so you may be healed." They advise making 5 golden tumors, 5 golden rats, representing the plague and the 5 Philistine rulers as a way to acknowledge God's judgment. Okay, so they even recall, "Don't harden your hearts like Pharaoh did in Egypt." The Philistines may not worship God, but they fear His power now. Second part of the chapter covers a task with cows. To test whether the plagues were really from Israel God, they set up a task with 2 milk cows. The cows had never pulled a cart. Their calves were taken away, so naturally they want to return home, right? They say, if the cows go to Beth Shemesh, which is Israeli land, then the ark's God is responsible. If not, it was just a coincidence. Result? The cows go straight to Israel, lowing as they go. Proof that this was no accident, okay? The third part of this chapter covers the ark arrives in Beth Shemesh. The Israelites of Beth Shemesh are harvesting wheat, and when they see the ark, okay, they are harvesting wheat when they see the ark. So they rejoice and offer sacrifices with the cart and the cows. The golden offerings are listed and recorded as a memorial. After 7 long months, God brings His ark home, and His people rejoice. Okay, so fourth is irreverence leads to judgment. However, some of the men of Beth Shemesh look inside the ark, which was forbidden. God strikes down 70 men. Some manuscripts say more, showing that even Israelites must treat His presence with reverence. The people cry, who? The people cry this, "Who can stand in the presence of the Lord as holy God?" They send messengers to Kiriath Jearim, asking them to take the ark. God is holy, and closeness doesn't mean casualness. Yeah. So, what are the key lessons from the First Samuel chapter 6? The first lesson is even enemies can recognize God's power. The Philistines knew the plagues weren't random and act accordingly. Second, Second lesson, God orchestrates nature and animals to fulfill His will. To untrained calls walk directly to Israel, providing divine intervention. Third lesson, God's holiness demands reverence from everyone. Even those rejoicing can suffer judgment if they ignore God's commands. Fourth lesson, God is not confined to one's people or place, okay? Whether in enemy hands or back in Israel, God remains sovereign and active, right? So the First Samuel chapter 6 shows both God's mercy and holiness. The ark returns, the plagues stop, and the people rejoice. But God reminds them that His presence is not to be taken lightly, even by those closest to Him. Closest to Him. So yeah, this was the chapter. Tell me what you think about it in your comments, and I see you in the next one.